on YouTube. Hello, everyone. Kyle A0Z. Welcome to the channel. I know I haven't streamed in a while, but back at it after Dayton. Hope everyone is staying cool. It's very hot here. It's like 100 degrees still, and it's 8 o'clock in the evening. I have Alan, N7AKG. Hey, Alan, how are you?
I'm doing good. Hi, Kyle.
Good. Alan has he has had this out for a while, but I decided to do a stream on it because I thought it was really cool. You have created basically an ad hoc contesting framework where people can come in, and if they want to basically create their own contests and have some scoring on the background and kind of basically create their own contests. You have created that back end so people can do that, right? And people can contest with their friends, their family, their and be able to do this easily with your contesting software or your back end software, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we're still building on it, so
Yeah. So let's go back to the beginning. How did this come about? What I know that you were talking to George from Workbench. So tell me how this all came about.
So it came about because I've been a ham since the 70s, actually late 60s, but I never got into contesting till I retired back in 2020. So I started to get into contesting, and I'm very I'm just not a avid. I'm just a kind of a casual
contester. Yeah, right.
So I do the 7 QPs. I do occasional contests here and there, and they were a lot of fun at first. But then the kind of the thrill of it kind of went off because I do it, and it's kind of like you're in your own shack. You're doing the contest. You're racking up the QSOs. And then when the contest is over, you don't know how you were doing or how it was going on or even anybody else around you in the community.
Right.
And maybe they'll publish the results a week later, a month later, or whatever. And a lot of times when the results come out, so much later, really it's kind of like, I don't care.
Yeah. But you've forgotten about the contest, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's gone. My life has moved on.
Right.
So it's kind of like, so it got to the point where saying, well, okay, I'm just kind of, when the contest is on, it's kind of great to make a whole bunch of QSOs, but that was all it was basically for us casual contesters.
Right. That is the one thing that I don't like about contesting is one, and I know Craig K9CT is trying to work on this with real-time scoring with the ARRL, and I think that's one of the main reasons why contesting does not appeal to a lot of young people, is because whenever I play a video game online, I know exactly how well I did 2 seconds after the game is over. The whole point in waiting months for you to figure out how well you did is not appealing,
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I mean, it's kind of like, and you look at the scores, and you're not going to compete against the big contesters. I mean,
right.
At Hamvention, we were just there. I actually went in and listened to one of the they talk about the guys who did the top scores in CW Worldwide or whatever. And they're talking about, well, I think I put up another tower so I could get a couple more QSOs or something like that.
Right.
No.
It is, and I understand, those guys are the professional guys. We go to the ball game and we watch the Cardinals play, and they get paid millions of dollars, and that's their life. Right.
Yeah.
And I understand that, some of the contesters, that kind of is their life. They spend lots of dollars to put lots of towers up, and they practice all the time, and they go to foreign countries where they're the DX, and they put in a lot of time. But one thing that I don't like is sometimes I get put in, because I have a contest station and I have a tower, I get put in the same classification as them because of my antennas. And there are some things that I'm like, you know what, I shouldn't be I shouldn't be hitting against a major league pitcher, right? I still need to be in Corey League where, I'm taking the 8-year-old pitch, and hitting. So yeah, it gets a little frustrating, but I understand. I
have
understand
nothing
the way that
against.
is. Right.
Yeah, I have
right.
nothing against those guys. I mean, that's their world, and they
Right.
were really excited. It was a very fun talk to have them talk about it. But
Right.
it isn't my world. And, and what I found with the contesting is I like to say, okay, I'll compete against some other buddies of mine, I know are the same. That's what I wanted.
Well, and it's so I think what you're going to show us is this would be very interesting and very cool to be able to participate in the big contest or a contest, whatever that contest is. But then you've created a contest within a contest where now you're competing with your buddies, and you have literally created a microcosm of people that you're contesting, and then you can compete against yourselves.
Right. And that's that's the idea, is that we can be in parallel, create your own, or be in parallel, do it against the CWT even, or even some of the big ones, that you get the big contests.
Right.
And also the other concept that I brought into it, that I talked to a lot of people about this before we started building it, is there's a team contesting in this thing. So you can say, okay, my club, which is the Hood View Amateur Radio Club, could challenge the Portland Radio Club.
Yeah.
So you can have teams against, and you can set that up. So that was an interesting add-on and concept we added to this.
Yeah. I think this is really neat. I think that you don't have to be in this micro, this larger world. You can shrink your world down in the contesting field and do what you want,
Yeah, you can set up whatever you want. Yeah. That's the idea. And, to be truth in advertising right now, we're very simple in how we score. We just basically count Qs, QSOs. We've talked to other people, and we will put in a more fancy kind of scoring, so many points for CW or whatever. But right now we just have counting Qs, and that seems to be enough for right now. So,
yeah, gotcha.
And
well, do you want to show off the back end? Well, first,
sure.
What contesting loggers is this compatible with?
Right now, I have you can log right on the screen, or you can upload ADI files in real time as fast as you want, as many times as you want. Mm-hmm. It also has automatic loggers for N1MM, N3J FJP.
Yep.
And Ham Radio Deluxe, and anything that will emit a that packet style that the N1MM emits.
The XML packet.
The XML packet.
Yeah.
And I'm open to any other format, but mostly they're all the same, except they have little differences, like N1MM does frequency in megahertz, I think, or kilohertz, and the other one does megahertz, and little bits, little things like that.
Yeah.
But so we're automatic. We have automatic little feeders that'll automatically just listen for that UDP packet, that they always kind of send out.
Right. So this is really nothing new for the loggers. It's just now sending that UDP packet to just a different location where you're taking it and doing some work on it.
I'm just sniffing because UDPs are broadcast, so I'm just listening. Yeah. And anyone that comes to my socket, okay, we'll consume it.
Yeah. So let's get into the screen and to the back end.
Sure.
So here is, well, first let's talk about the URL. How does one get to the URL here?
The URL is simply, we did this for Ham Radio Instant Scoring Service. We wanted real-time whatever, but that name had already been taken. So we kind of thought of this one. So his, and then it's .ishareradio.net, because it's part of my iShare Radio network.
Yeah, we
And,
we did a stream. George and I did a stream on iShare Radio, and we're gonna do another stream here. Alan doesn't know this, but we'll do another stream later in the summer to really demo the iShare Radio stuff. But I put the link in the chat. It's hiss.ishareradio.net, and then Alan has got it up here on the screen, right?
Right. So I can walk through real quick. And show you. So if you just come into it for the very first time, this is your entry screen. If you don't have an account, you would just click register new account. It'll come up here and you put in your call sign or whatever you want. Usually your call sign would be best, but it doesn't have to be. Email address is important, and you give me a password, and then you have to agree to terms of service. That's just
the way it is.
The way it is. So then what will happen is I've already registered, but when you do this registration, it's going to then send a code to your email that you can then, when you log in, you can tell it to validate the account and put in that code I send you.
Right.
This is part of the security. As I said I gave a couple talks on this. Man, when we put this thing first out, we started. This has been 6 months or 9 months of development now. When we first put it out, we put it up on a private server, didn't advertise it to anybody. We were just testing our back end, and we got hit by everyone in the world. It was amazing.
Wow.
How we were found. So we immediately went back and redid all of our security and everything. So that's why you have to do it this way. So you put in your validation, so then you'll be able to log in once you're validated. So here I've got my account here, and I'm gonna go ahead and log in. And right now this is very big, so I'm gonna reduce it just a little bit. There we go. That's good. So you come in, and along the dashboard, you have your home screen. You have your dashboard. You have contests. You have teams. You have your personal profile, and then some about and help. So going to about and help to start with, it just kind of tells you some things. There's system administrator messages might show up here. Terms of service. We also have a groups IO page.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Anyone can join and send me questions, suggestions are always appreciated because, we imagine, 4 or 5 of us were talking about this and imagineered what you see now in front of you, but it's not going to be what everyone wants, and it's a very flexible system. So we can change things.
Yeah. I'm going to put the group's IO in the chat here once I log into it.
Yeah. I can there you go. I can get that for you. Do I need to let you in? I think it's I have to.
Oh, no.
Nope, you're all good?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm good. Yep.
Okay. And we also have online help at any time. So if you hit, for instance, the F1 key, it'll come up, and we have built an online help, and we'll keep adding, as people ask questions to it and such. So here's an overview, talks about how to start an account, how to do teams, how to build a new team, all this stuff. So we do have online help to help you out, and like I said, on the groups I can ask questions. So that's the about. So let's go back to contests. So this is the page that shows all current contests, and it'll keep you. If it gets too many, eventually you just use the finder on the web, on the browser. They're color coded. Blue is not started. So I started one for field day just a little bit before this talk, and in fact I've challenged Park, and I'll try to find some other clubs to join me in this. So, but I'll go through that.
Okay.
How I did that. So that up here is all the contests. Down below is all the contests that you're currently involved in. You can be in more than one. You can only be logging to one at a time, but you can be involved in more than one at a time. Then if you want to know about the contest, you click on it. You can say, what's the contest info? It'll come up and say who's in it, once people start adding in, they'll be lined up here. This says it's a team contest. It gives you a little description, the date, beginning date, and a grace period, meaning if you want, as the owner of the contest, when you start it, you can say, I would like to allow people to still upload ADI files for some amount of time after the contest is over.
Okay.
This would be for cases like field day, where you're going to be out in the field and might not have internet.
Yeah, right.
So, but you can make this, 0. You can make it whatever you want as the creator of the contest. You also get 3 switches, and one is allow spotting, meaning basically on the dashboard, you can anybody who logs immediately will show up on the dashboard page.
Okay.
So you'll see queues coming in real time. You can allow chat between yourselves, and if you're on a team, the chat can be restricted to just you and people in your team, or everybody. You can broadcast or just within your team.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you can do that. And then if you're a team contest, you can decide whether you want to allow duplicates across team members, which means, let's say you and I, Kyle, are on the same team and we both get the same station.
Yep.
Do you want to count that as 1 or 2 QSOs?
Okay. Got it.
So that's a decision point you can make. Going back to contest. When the contest is over, this was I don't know who did this one, but they didn't put anything into it. But when it's over, you can go to the report page. It will give you this information, tells you what's in it, and then you can export all that as a CSV file. So you can dump the entire thing.
Gotcha.
And we did that for Hoda Boda, which was the ham radio workbench, and a couple other contests. And then you bring it into a spreadsheet, and you can kind of see who's doing what and stuff.
Right. Gotcha.
It's very cool. So we've got that. So that's what contest info and report does. If you want to create a new contest, we can do that right now. You go in here. So if you want to create your own, you'd come up here and you'd say, okay, contest name is, what do we want to call this one? We'll call it AA0Z demo.
Okay.
And you make the decision point. Is this an individual or a team contest?
Let's do individual.
Individual, and the title, the description for anyone getting into it, and be.
We're gonna call it number of please copies during an exchange.
Number of what was that?
Please copy.
Please copy. During exchange. Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Then you come down here and you decide when do you want it to start.
Okay.
Let's say we want this for all of July.
Okay.
So you click there, and you'd come up here and you put in start at midnight. Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, I've got to work on this. The clock wants to always be AM PM. I'll fix that later. And then we'll have it go to the end of July. There we go. And we'll have it be on the 20, 12. This is where it always gets kind of screwy. I'm going to work on this.
Okay.
There we go. That's close enough.
Close enough.
You can decide on a grace period. This is where I said, how long after. You can't continue to, no QSOs after this time will be allowed.
Yep.
Before or after, but you can still upload to it if you want. So, if you want, give them an hour after the end of the contest, you do 60 minutes.
Yep.
Or whatever you want. If you want to make this a private contest, you can give it a password.
So how does you're still collecting the UDP packets?
Yes.
But it's just whenever you log in, you need to submit the password to see the contest.
I'll show you how that works in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'll get you in a minute. This password just says you're part of it. This is you are putting in a password for people to be able to join this contest.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
Okay, and remember that you're the creator of the contest. You're not you might, if you create a password here, you're going to have to use it for yourself to join it. You're just the creator at this point.
Gotcha. Okay.
And there are the 3 switches. You can say this one and this one. And at this point, you just say submit.
Okay.
And now it shows up. There it is.
Yeah.
And I can say, okay, I like this one, so I'm going to join it. So now I have 2 contests that I can be involved in.
Yeah.
And if it's a team contest, come over here, we have teams. So there's people who created some teams. So I'm currently the owner of the Heart team, and this is the one that I am currently a member of. But these are the ones that are listed. Then you come up here and you can say team info. And it gives you who's in it and all that kind of information.
Yeah.
And you can create a new team.
Yep.
It's just basically team name, description, and once again, do you want it to be private or not?
Right. Okay.
And then we go back to contests, and you say, okay, I want to make field day my active contest. And at that point, the dashboard will show up. Now, this dashboard's not too interesting because nothing's in it.
Right.
And because it's a team contest, I had some screenshots that show what's going to happen is as you get QSOs in here, they will you individual and your spots, your individual scores and your team scores will show up. There's 3 different panels.
Gotcha.
And go ahead.
So how do I get? So let's say I'm an N1MM,
right?
And I want to send my QSOs, my information to your service.
Right.
I have to go into the to settings and the broadcast tab in N1MM. And do I have to put in anything special to send it to your server so you pick up that information?
You have to tell it, and you can tell it what it has to know. So we'll go back to the help.
Yep.
Then we talk about feeders. We call these things feeders.
Feeders. Okay. Yep.
So for N1MM,
there you go.
You would just have it click contacts and set a port number. So I said 112.065. It could be any number. And let's say, for instance, you're using N3FJP or whatever that's also picking this up. UDP packets are broadcast, so you can, multiple devices can be sniffing that socket.
But how does so in N1MM, this is what I'm confused. So that's going to my local host 127.0.0.1.
How does it get?
How does it get to your server so it so you can start doing some work on it?
You download first off on your computer. You would, on the dashboard page is a button called Download Feeder. That will download a little applet that runs on your PC.
Okay. And
when you're in this contest, you say launch the feeder, and that sends to the feeder all the information, your account, and all this stuff. And so now it knows how to pump that up to the service.
I understand. Does it matter if you launch the feeder before you start N1MM, or does it matter?
That doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because the feeder's going to come up and start sniffing that packet. And
gotcha. So you set up your contest, you're logging however you want to log in, and it doesn't even have to be like in N1MM, you have to set up a contest.
Right.
But really, you could just have a general log set up in N1MM. And because you're sniffing those packets that are coming off of that broadcast and it's going to your feeder and then going to your service, you could set up any type of contest in N1MM. It's just taking all that information, doing some work on it, and sending it on.
In real time, yeah.
In real time. In
fact, what I do that in MM when I have a kind of like a generic log.
Right.
And at the end of playing around with it, I just delete everything in it. But it really doesn't matter because it's in real time anyway.
Yes.
Does that know?
Yes. Now it totally makes sense. Yeah. Because I was like, wait a minute, how does it get the information? And now you've solved it for me.
So, and that feeder is one I'm working on, was, and like I said, I've got those 3 packets I know how to deal with, and they're all very similar.
Yeah.
And if you got another logger, the one I can't get is DX Labs, because they don't emit.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And the other problem I have with them is they don't emit, but they do go to a database. But the trouble is they go to the old Windows database system that no one has software for anymore.
Interesting. So there's a couple of questions here that people had. One was, so Ham Radio Gizmo said, any chance to ham logger DX? And it's probably, if it can send information to like the online scoreboard, or the online scoreboard is kind of the only one that I know of. I mean, I think there's another Russian online scoreboard, but if it can admit to or send information to the real-time scoreboard, then from what Alan, what I hear is you can download the feeder and it will send it to the feeder. You just put it the port number and it will do the rest, right?
Yeah, pretty much. If I don't know that one, so what was the name of that one? I will look it up.
MacLogger DX. Not
MAC?
MacLogger DX.
MacLogg DX. I will take a look and see what it emits.
Yeah.
And then we can see it, because now that I've got the framework built to add that kind of sniffers and things, are really quite simple.
And then he also asked, does it upload to Logbook of the World, QRZ, or ESQL?
No. It just goes, because the idea is that you've got your other loggers sniffing and doing that. That was not the intent.
Gotcha. So then Tom says, is there a collector program that listens on UDP 12.1060? Yep, we talked about that. If so, what platforms does the collector run on? So does it run on Mac and Windows? Is that your collectors?
The collector's written in Python, so whatever Python can run on can work. So the only issue I have is launching it. I only have a automatic launcher for Windows, and I'll need to work on a Mac launcher, which is not that hard, but I just haven't done it.
Tom also says access files for DX Keeper, MDB files.
Yeah, that's the problem. DX. That was I was talking about, the old MDs, and I started to look into it, and the problem ends up being that there's too many different variations in Windows. I built one, and it worked on my computer, and then I gave it to someone to test, and it didn't work on his.
Wow.
And it has all to do with the different runtime versions and things like that. And I just didn't want to get into it at the time. So, if there's enough need, I'll put the effort in. But I just didn't, kind of like, where am I gonna put all my cycles?
Yeah. Don't forget about TR4W. Tom does a good job on that program and mimics all of the N1MM stuff. TR4W. Yep.
Yeah.
That's another logger that Tom is very nimble, and you ask for a feature and it's in there.
Yeah, if anyone's interested in helping out or working on this, and it's all up in GitHub, I can make a collaborator. So if you got an idea of how you'd like to be able to add those things in, that'd be great too.
Right. So the feeder takes all the info and then pushes it up to the server, which we're looking at the dashboard for your 2025 field day. So you're going to see all of the info get collected and compiled at this screen, right?
Yes, it'll all be. That's why I had some example screens. Let me see. Give me a second here. I'm showing that screen. Let's see what happens here. Oh, wrong button.
While you do that,
yeah.
Tom says, yeah, if you don't want to use the feeder, you can just upload the ADIFs afterwards, which is nice.
Yeah, it has a loader, and also you can actually log right there on the dashboard too if you want. Some people have done that. Yeah, I'm looking for, okay, here's, let me see what happens when I bring this over.
You sharing your screen or a window?
Oh, I got to share the whole.
You got to share the whole thing. Yeah, I think you're sharing a window right now.
Let me stop sharing and I'll reshare the window.
Okay.
I want to share a window and I want to share that window. There we go. That should be good.
There we go.
All right. So this is an example of kind of I mocked it, but this would be Harkin Park. You can see this is the dashboard with, I'll make it full screen so it's a little bigger. So if you're a team contest, you'll see team scores on the right. You'll see the spots in the middle, which is basically the latest. You'll see how you're doing with respect to others, any test messages. So that's what the dashboard will look like when things start working around. And I just wanted to show that as an example of and that's and then at the end you can dump the whole thing as a CSV file or see how you're doing.
Yeah,
and that gives you the scores and lets you know how people are doing.
Yeah,
I mean it's it took us a long time to put this whole thing together because it's the case of how hard could this be?
Yeah. And then you get into it and you're just like, oh, this is kind of tough.
So that's what happened.
Wow.
And,
have you ever thought about instead of cues, actually take the raw score from? Well, I guess you would. Whatever program would need to broadcast the score, right? For you.
Yeah, N1MM does.
Yeah,
N1MM
right.
does. And if we said, okay, you have to use N1MM, I could glean that information.
Right.
And that's a possibility. It could say, okay, this contest is an N1MM contest.
Right. Yeah, I think that, the online scoreboard guys are trying, they made that, well, I think that they kind of adopted the N1MM framework, that XML packet. Right. But, from what I understand, and Tom in the chat can probably keep me honest here, is I don't think loggers have adopted that standard on, here are the 20 things that you need to send to any contest logger, including yours, for every single contest. And then you get questions like, MacLogger DX, does that log to the server? Well, no, it doesn't. Well, why doesn't it? Why don't you have that functionality in there? Like, you should have it in there,
Yeah, even I use CloudLog, and it's got its own API.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish that it just had a standard framework of, here, this is the things that you need to report on, and here's how you do it. You just need to plug it into your contest software.
I think that's a good point, because nowadays everything's going remote.
Yeah,
you'd love to have all your loggers be able to emit something that's standard.
Right. Exactly. Right. I want. Yeah, I don't understand. It's 2025. Why that's not a standard thing? I mean, that should be as standard as the fields that you have to enter in in a contest is the call sign, the signal report, and the exchange, right?
And like I said before, I mean, even if they're similar, they have differences. Like one does megahertz, the other one does kilohertz. One does time in seconds, one does time in milliseconds. It's kind of like
exactly. It all should be standard. It should be a standard format. Right.
It's craziness. Right. hoping to have fun with it. And I want people to have, I'm glad that you're having this on the show because, we put this up, we're trying to evangelize it just to get people to play with it and literally tell us, this would be great if, or this would be, this, I would use this, but this is in the way.
Right.
And, this is kind of the fun part now.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're in your infancy, and you got to crawl, and you got to walk, and then you got to run. So you got to have people to be logging the system and trying different stuff, and it will, just like any good piece of software, it will evolve, and you'll learn whatever you need to change on it, and after a period of time, it will go from great to good to great to the greatest thing since sliced bread.
We talked about this on the Discord channel about I was able to put in a text chat, but I'd love to, more effort on audio and a video would be great.
Yeah.
And that's not out of the question for sure. So,
yeah.
It's just how many cycles that I have to get. I want to get something out for people to look at and have.
Yeah. Joe Brett says, I may have missed it coming in late, but can you set up your own rules for the contest, like CW not allowing other modes to ingest into scoring? Well, I think what you can do is you can create your own rules, Joe Brett, and then once you've created your own rules for a contest, let's say I want to, the AA0Z FT8 contest is going to run from Saturday at noon to Saturday at midnight. So what I can do is I can send all those rules out to my friends and say, here is the HISS scoring that we're going to use to do real-time scoring so we can see how everyone is doing and compete against each other. And then you just set up your own contest, but you use Alan's back end to get all the scores together and to see how people are doing in real time.
Yeah, and you could use like N1MM to be the arbiter of that. I said at the beginning, truth and advertising. We're just counting cues right now. We do not have a scoring system built in. I've been working and thinking about that. So how I want to do it, because I need to figure out a way to do it so that you can create your own rules.
Yeah.
In a nice, flexible, and easy to understand way. And
yeah. Robert says, and I think I know how to answer this, but to Alan, you let me know here. I'm not sure UDP is the best choice to standardize, though, not how it's implemented for ham radio logging anyway. I agree, Robert. UDP is best effort. I wish that these guys would go to TCP, but I'm assuming that there's a reason why they don't use TCP. And I forget the reason why. Tom sat down with me at Orlando, N1MM sent, and I'm like, you should use TCP IP to send your stuff to the online scoreboard. And I got this 15-minute dissertation on why he doesn't do it. So, and I forgot. After 3 minutes, I tuned out. So,
well, I can see two reasons, and they're mostly just things that need to be worked out.
Yeah.
First off, is the packet. Let's not care about TCP or UDP or whatever. The XML packet needs to be standardized.
Yeah.
That's goal number one. The problem with TCP is often in Windows is a problem, is much bigger problem than Macs and Linux does in binding the port. If you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
That's a problem where UDP is broadcast, anybody can sniff it.
Yeah.
But if I want to try to sniff a TCP port,
then you get
into binding problem, what's called binding problems.
Okay, gotcha.
And it can be worked around. We just need to build modules for people to use that get around that. UDP is the problem. It's local. So for me for instance, to take that UDP packet from N1MM and push it up to my server, I had to create an applet that runs on your PC that sniffs it, and it does the TCP, actually TLS, up to the server.
Yeah.
And because UDPs are local.
Right. So the UDP comes into your collector. Do you send that up to your stuff via TCP?
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. No. All communications to the back end service is TCP and or TLS, depending on whether I want it to be encrypted or not.
Right.
Anything with a password or things that might be sensitive are encrypted.
Yeah. Yeah. Tom asks, are there standard contests like CQ Worldwide predefined so I can do a sub contest with my club and or friends?
Not yet, although someone else asked for that at CPAC.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
So I'm thinking about adding another tab to the top of that screen that might be predefined ones, and I could easily grab the contest web page feeder.
Yeah.
And build off of that. So,
yeah, that would be cool. Tom, tell me if I'm wrong here, but that would be cool if I could go in and grab a template for a big contest that is happening and then just set up my friends or set up, if I'm in a club scenario and say, okay, the St. Louis and Suburban Radio Club is going to have a sub contest of CQ Worldwide, and we're going to define it that way.
Yeah, I think that's what I think the issue will be. Do I slurp down all that information and give you this giant page you've got to scan through, or some kind of search? I think that's the second person who's asked for that, so I think that's probably going to be next on my list.
Yeah,
and I think that makes a great sense because the idea behind this is, as you said in the beginning, I want to be a sub contest within the big one.
Yeah, right.
I want to know how I'm doing with respect to my buddies in the club on this contest, not with the guys with the antenna farms.
Yeah. Tom also asked, does your collector use multicast so you don't have to have the port binding issue?
I'm just a sniffer, so I am. I'm not binding because it's UDP. I'm not binding at all.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So it's who's ever emitting is going to be broadcast multicast, but it's not that's not my issue on this one because then I'm TLS up to the top.
Yeah. Yep. Got it.
Because that's Any other questions?
Yeah. So I put the groups IO in the chat, and I will put that in the description. But the website is in the description of the video here, and I mean we've Alan, you've started a framework and things that this was born out of a fun project and a need, and I think thing's going to be cool. I hope it takes off and more people use it. And Tom has a so Tom has got a good point here, right? But if two servers listen on the same port, you'll have an issue. So so in your collector, do you have a settings where you say listen on this port?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, when you download the feeder, if you run it just just give it the refeeder name with no past parameters like your account and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It'll come up with it'll come up and ask you what port do you want to be on, what logger do you want to use, and configures that. And this is where it's kind of Windows centric right now because I just store this stuff in the Windows registry.
Oh, okay.
But it's we can do this with an INI file or any kind of thing we can set up.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So if you choose port 10,000 in your server, you need to go back into the broadcast port or the broadcast tab in N1MM and tell it to listen on the loopback : 10,000.
Right.
Yep.
And the other option is, because of these kind of different issues, one thought I've had is, why don't I have my little feeder also re-emit on a different port?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So you kind of act as for cases where you have binding issues.
Yeah. Like if you're doing a rotor or something that you need to send that out to. Yeah.
So that's another thought, and that's not too hard to do either.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right.
Hey.
Well, anything else, Alan, that you want to talk about for the HISS?
No, I think you kind of got an idea. It's a framework. I do encourage anyone who's interested to, to send me ideas like that. And if you're a developer and want to have a look at it, good with that as well.
Okay.
We are served off of private servers currently up in Canada. We're going to move this over to the servers that Halibut has. So it'll be over there relatively soon. Right now, we're still on kind of development servers.
Gotcha.
But once we do that, then we can open up even the back end for people to take a look at and make enhancements to.
Cool.
And it's all the whole back end's written in Python and Fast API, and the whole front end is written in PHP.
Nice.
And HTML. So there's nothing proprietary in the whole thing.
Gotcha. All right. Very good.
All right. Hey.
Well, thank you for coming on the stream. Appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate you letting me show off this little project of ours. I hope it's going to be fun. I want to get, we're still trying to get that critical mass of people trying to play with it. And
right.
Like I said, trying to find out where are the roadblocks so we can get rid of those. And I wrote down a number of these. So
good deal.
Oh, goodness.
Good deal. Well, hang on for a minute, and let me do some outros here, and we'll chat after this, after I end the stream. But next Thursday, I got choked up about next Thursday. Next Thursday, I'm going to be streaming at 8 p.m. again. Going to have Mike, KE0VIM. We are going to set up, what's that program that allows you to spot via FT8? No, it's somebody.
JT Alert?
No, it's a program that SotaMat. SotaMat.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to be setting up SotaMat because I'm going to be out in Colorado, and don't tell Mike this, but I'm going to have my Starlink with me. But I'm going to try and set the SotaMat up, and I'm actually going to spot myself whenever I'm doing Parks on the Air in Colorado using SotaMat. I've seen Mike do it on stream, so I know it's possible. He did it from the bottom of the Grand Canyon. He's done it from a couple other places. So we're going to get my account all set up. And so I can not get Starlink out. I can just use my radio to spot on Parks on the Air and get that done. So we're going to set that up on next Thursday before I leave. So looking forward to having Mike on the stream. It's going to be awesome. So SotaMate, not Matt. SotaMate. Sorry, Matt. I knew that I was like, yeah, it sounds good, but I'm like, something's off there. Yeah, SotaMate is the title. So anyway, thanks guys. That's it from here. Alan, stay on for a minute, and we'll talk after this. But 73 guys, appreciate it.
It's 73, everybody.